Hi everyone, I'm Tracy, your host for Chandler's Channel, and today's session is our weekly reading for September 16th to 22nd, 2013. So if that's what you're here for, please stay tuned. I'll go get my spirit guide, Whitehawk, and consciously channel him for this upcoming week's reading. But as usual, we always touch back on the previous week, and in the previous week, Whitehawk did say that it, again, would be a challenging week. And there were some odd things. I was trying to understand feelings and so on and so forth when I was channeling. And there was sadness and there was uncertainty. He spoke of people wanting to throw in the towel, and just give up. And it would bring up a lot of anger because of just throwing in the towel and giving up, and then wondering which way we're gonna turn. And so, in my own life, I know that it certainly was a topsy-turvy week for me that way in regards to, wanting to throw in the towel. When you get so little views and subscribers, you wonder, well, why am I doing this? Why am I taking the time out on a day to get all dolled up and take the time out in videos and then uploading it to YouTube and writing the description and then putting it on social media, onto Twitter and then onto Facebook, and then trying to get followers on both those social medias, and then thinking, well, I have to do a web page and la la la. And you think, well, why am I doing that for such little followers? And I have to remind myself the reason why I got into this anyways, and when I thought of when you have 25 subscribers, if you put 25 people in a room, that's like a classroom of children, right? So, not children, sorry, a classroom, even whether it be children, I'm thinking, elementary school, because I have my kids, right? But if you thought of college or I suppose university, the classes are bigger. So I thought, well, that's enough. A teacher gets up every day and she goes to a classroom and she teaches 25 to, 20 students, right? So that's enough because you're teaching, and that does make all the difference in the world. And I was able to bring it back through that and say, okay, no, it's still of value. It's still worth it. And thank you to my subscribers, my loyal is a better word. Loyal subscribers for being with me, and everyone who views this, loyal viewers as well. Just because you don't subscribe doesn't mean that you don't watch this every week, right? So thank you very much to you guys and to all those people who do comment, because when you that whole help me help you that whole Jerry Maguire movie, right? That's what it comes to, because when you comment for me or give me subscribe or give me a like or just even view my video, you're helping me help you, because you're giving me motivation. You're letting me know that you're saying, you know what, Trace, this is good. I like this. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time that you're taking, right? Because you got to remember, I'm not getting paid for this, certainly right now. And I do this for our Father, right? I do this for Jesus. So that to help the world, to help his children of the world. And I'm not a religious person, I'm a spiritual person. But, a lot of my readings and a lot of my teachings and healings are from Jesus. They are sort of rooted in Christianity. And I don't, I am a hobby theologian, right? So I don't know a lot. I'm not an expert at it. It sort of comes to me at various times, and that's how I learn, and through, of course, Jesus, I learn as well. So I had to bring it back to not throw in the towel, to bring it back to the smallest of thing, that, there's a classroom of people listening to me that find this of value, even if it was just one person, right? How many people are life coaches or so on and so forth, and they have one person that's just in front of them, and that's valuable. That's very valuable. But for me, it was well, it does take my time. So I thought, well, do I want to do it? I had an up and down week last week regarding that, and then I thought, well, if I don't do this, what else am I going to do? So this is what I'm going to do, and I keep moving forward as, you know, maybe it'll take me 5 years. I don't know. But I'll keep doing it anyways. So that's my take on last week. And also it's the fall equinox energies, right? The fall equinox will be falling this week sometime, right? And that will be my Whitehawk's wisdom reading that I'm doing on for Thursday. And the fall equinox energies are nasty. They are dark. They're clearing energies. So a lot of the time, something that's in you, whether it be here, wherever, right? And it wants to come up and out, and it needs to be cleared. It will start to come up, right? And that's where you get those, like, this whole week I felt like, it's just nasty. I was just maybe even wanting to pick an argument, or, you know, not as patient as I normally would be. You'd be like, what? You know, you'd be like, Mom, they'd be like, what? You know, because it's just, if you're a sensitive individual, you're going to feel the equinox energies very deeply and very loudly for us, right? Like you will feel it, and so you'll feel it as an empath. You'll feel everybody else's nasty energies as well. So I was just walking around last week going, whoa. And I remember in particular going to just a Tim Hortons, right? It's such a Canadian thing, right? And when I first entered there, I felt pretty darn good. You know, I was having a good time with my kids, and then when we came out of there, I was just nasty, and I felt heavy, and I could just feel it in my throat, like something was about to come up, right? And I couldn't figure it out for the life of me, because even though I do this, and I know I'm highly sensitive, and I know I'm an empath, you know, you're not on every day. You're not completely aware every minute of your life. So I had to pause and take a second and go, oh, what is it? And then I realized it was a man that was sitting next to me. You know, that even though it was really funny, because he came off as a really nice guy and having a fun conversation with us, but I realized it was his energy that I had picked up on, because energy doesn't lie. So even though he's putting on this face of happiness and I absorbed his energy, right? Like as a sponge. And when I came out of there, I became nasty. So I had to, you know, do some clearing, get rid of that, right? Clear that energy, do a few cleansing breaths, and get myself out of that. And I did, and it was good, because, you know, like if I don't cleanse that, that'll stay with me for a long period of time until I finally process that emotion, that nastiness. And it's not pretty sometimes, right? And we're all like that. I mean, it's not just because I'm highly sensitive or an empath. Everybody gets like that. Everybody has their breaking point where they finally just like lose it, right? Some people more than others. But we're all human. Just accept where you are. And I'm just explaining to you from my viewpoint in my life how energy works, and that indeed we are sponges and we do absorb it when you're highly sensitive and an empath. But it doesn't mean other people that you can't walk into a room and be able to detect the certain type of energy that is in that room, and then indeed walk out and just be that much more angry. Because it's like, you know, they always say if there's a rotten apple in a bag, then will go right through, that poison then will go right through the rest of the apples, right? So when you think of a person, if there's a negative person in your environment, then his poison or her toxins, poisons or toxins, will then disperse throughout the environment, and then everybody picks that up, and they become, right? You become that sort of, that person. It's sad. I'd like to say, and indeed positive can overcome negative, but if you have a poisonous or a toxic person within your environment, it's like a wildfire. Hi guys, just to continue, so as I was saying about, you know, if there's toxic energy in your environment or negative, that can take hold like a wildfire and just spread, right? So that's how that kind of energy works, and energy affects us all. It really, really does. if you go into a mall, there's all kinds of energies, and I doubt that many people would say that going to a mall is a very energizing thing. It might be for a moment till you get home with your haul and your goods, but then those material items don't sustain you, right, in the end, because again, you have to have more, and there's something new that comes out, and you have to have that. So really, in the end, with these videos, what we're talking about is we're talking about energy. Okay, so that's my week, and as usual, it's pretty interesting because I tend to always get into a different topic through it. So I never know what I'm going to say or what it's going to be about. So please tune in and let me know your thoughts of what you're hearing, and if you're learning anything from this, or give me your examples, and maybe it's creating an awareness in your world, and maybe it's not working for you, and that's okay too. All right, so let's go get Whitehawk and see what he has to say for the week ahead. Indeed, he says. Energy, energy, energy. He says, energy, energy, energy. There's no doubt, he says, there is a lot of energy in the world. Indeed, the world is simply that, is it not? Pure energy from the source, nothing more, nothing less. And we sit there listening to him intently, as we always do. My little one brown-haired girl is with us as usual. Thank you. Now she sits there listening intently. She looks up at him like that. And he goes, yes, thank you, little one, for always being here with us, our very loyal guest. And he's talking to us again. And it's really funny because it's like he's talking to so many people, and yet I see all of like this one girl with us. And then there's the forest line behind us, right? Yes, that's right. Have no worries, little one. He says to me, have no worries. I am speaking to many others. You will see. He says, well, your week ahead, again, will be a challenging one, little ones. And I'm like, oh, not again, please. But do not despair, my friends, for indeed there is a silver lining in it all, for you, for me, and for this little one, meaning me, Tracy. He says. For at the end of this week, you will indeed feel as though you can finally breathe a new life. As though you can finally breathe a new life that you have been hoping and waiting for months, if not years, for some of us. For the energy has certainly come to pass that is allowing us to move forward on our paths here, today, this year, with the newness that is coming. That's right, my children, he says. Do not despair, although the beginning of the week will prove to be challenging, he says. The rest of the week will prove to be a delight for many. You shall see, he says. You shall see. So when moving forward in this week, he says, that comes to pass, know that the good Lord is watching over you and has always been watching over you, and only wants the best for you and those around you. And as I'm channeling this, I can see a little owl like outlined in my clothing. So that's kind of like augury. And again, that's not something you're supposed to discount in channeling. So there's a tip for you. So as I see this little owl sitting here, it just makes me think we're all very, very wise. The wisdom of the owl is coming out in us. He goes, indeed, he says, this is a very Good point, Nespa. He says, you are all my little owlets, he says. All my little owlets that have been born unto me in the Lord Jesus Christ, he says, to help us move forward, to persevere, he says, in our war, he says, against evil, against the world, against pure evil, he says. And he's kind of like losing us all and like losing me too, and saying about pure evil and evil, what, you know. He goes, that is right, my children. He says, when I say we're moving forward and helping the Lord Jesus Christ and myself in the war, he says, the war is really against ourselves. The war, he says, that rages within us each and every day about who we are and what is our purpose here on earth, he says. And many will get lost, he says, and that is our job, he says, as shepherds, to go out, and we don't necessarily need to herd them up, he says, for indeed, I do believe they will find you, or you will find them in your travels. You need not go looking for them, he says. But what I am saying is there will be many that are lost in this war in the world that is going on within ourselves and raging against ourselves and wondering what the purpose is in our life, he says. And so that is what I speak of when I say a war in the world. Do not despair, my children. Do not fear, do not despair. I do not mean a literal war. He says a physical war. It is a war that rages within each and every one of us, being lost, he says. And so we have come here to help each and every one else find themselves and find the purpose within themselves in the world here, he says. And so that is what our role is for many of us, he says. For if we tell two friends, they will tell two friends, and so on, and so on, and so on. And so we're listening intently, and we're absorbing what he is saying. And he says, so when you move forward on your challenging path this week, he says, know that it is with glee and delight that you serve us to serve yours, your kind, your ones, he says, by being here with us today. So God bless, children, he says, God bless. And thank you, he says, for being here today with us. We're always grateful, honorably grateful. God bless, children. And he crosses himself. Thank you, Whitehawk. So that's our reading for this week. It will get better. I hope certainly it will get better. Let's see if we can breathe a sigh of relief by the end of the week and see if we find our new roles, or if that motivation opens back up for us to keep moving forward without feeling we have to throw in the towel. Okay, so that was our weekly reading. So our next video that is up is on the fall equinox. We'll get a reading from Whitehawk on the energies, or who knows what else he'll speak about in regards to the fall equinox. So Whitehawk's wisdom falls on Thursday. Mondays is the weekly reading. Subscribe, it's free. Like, comment, be kind, keep it clean, and share. You never know who else you may be helping. So God bless. I'm Tracy for Chandler's Channel. We'll see you here again.